It was delivered in 1946 by central government. What is that act actually about? So this act is to require employers in industrial establishments to formally define the working conditions of employment under them. Okay, standing orders, we all know what are standing orders, rules and regulations and the formats developed by government. So here employers has to submit a draft of standing orders which has to be certified by the certifying authority. We have an officer called certification officer. That authority has to certify that standing orders and he has to submit to the central government for the survival of that industrial establishment. To satisfy these implications, this act was proposed. Okay, so it applies to every industrial establishment where 100 or more workers are employed. So in some central government exempted a few under which some organization registered. Central government only exempt those establishment where 50 workers also can work. Okay, so unless central government certifies to allow 50 workers to work that industrial establishment, there won't be survival of that industry. So according to this act, every industrial establishment must have, that means if they want to register the standing orders, they must have 100 or more workmen to be employed with them. Okay, so this central government is the appropriate body in respect of this establishment under the control of central government or railway administrations or ports, mines, oil fields, whichever under the control of the central government has to accept this industrial employment standing orders. Okay. Understood the concept, basic concept of this law. I didn't get into the law related terminology yet. Did you understood the basic thing of industrial establishment standing orders? Why the act is?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay. So here just I provided in the PPT, that's the Industrial Establishment Employment Standing Orders Act 1946, which requires employers in industrial establishment to define with sufficient precision the conditions of the employment under them and to make the set conditions known to workmen. So they are implementing as well, they have to convey the standing orders information to the employees too. The workmen of that particular industrial establishment has to know about them. Okay, so here what is we have a term called industrial establishment. We are continuously telling that. So we have some acts like a Factories Act, we have Indian Railways Act. So we have a number of acts. So all these acts were discussing about this term industrial establishment. So according to that act, what is industrial establishment? Just here we mentioned according to those acts. So according to Payment of Wages Act, which was delivered in 1936, an industrial establishment is a place or factory. So according to Factories Act, they are considering it as a factory. Factory means where the manufacturing process will undergo. And in Indian Railways Act 2, they are utilizing the industrial establishment term as a railway. So because they are deliberately saying about the railways and its operations, that's what in the place of industrial establishment, they will use railways also. So the establishment of a person who for the purpose of fulfilling the contract with the owner or any industrial establishment. So this is according to Workmen Compensation Act. So Employees Workmen Compensation Act. So likewise, this terminology, that means industrial establishment word, was used by many acts which has its own meaning according to that act. Okay, so standing orders. So standing orders means rules and regulations. We already discussed earlier, which means rules relating to matters set out in with regard to the industrial establishment. Of course, this the way of communication may be different, but as per law, we have to consider these lines as it is. That's what, including the section I indicated that. In section 2G, they mentioned about the meaning of standing order. Understood till then, ma? If you have any doubts, because when we are dealing with legal issues, we have to understand everything in depth. Are you clear about industrial establishment and standing orders?
Yes, ma'am.
If you have any doubts, raise then and there. After completion of that slide, we will discuss about that. Okay. So, before going to the schedule, what is the objective of this act? Primarily, why it was introduced by government. So, the objectives of this act is firstly to reinforce the uniformity in the working conditions of services under different employees. That means it may be deal with railways, it may be deals with mines, it may be deals with some digging process, coal mines, everything. So it's under the different employers in different industrial establishments. So uniformity, all workmen should be treated as equally according to their levels of employment, according to their designation. That's what this industrial employment standing orders was released. And second objective is the employer once have made the conditions of employment, that has to be known for his employed workmen also. So he has to communicate that conditions of employment to his employees, and he is not allowed to change them whenever he requires it, because after making these conditions as standing orders, these standing orders will get certified by the employee certified officer. Then only he can communicate these rules and regulations to the workmen. Okay, so third one is with the express or written conditions of employment, documentation of that particular employment, it has to be open for the prospective workers to accept them and to join in the industrial establishment. So that before, of course, during the offer letter also, during making of the offer letter also, the company or the industrial establishment has to give a documented conditions of that particular employee, and that has to be provided to that employee. And next one is for maintaining industrial peace and continued productivity by the employee. The significance of the express written conditions of employment cannot be minimized by the employer at any cost. Okay, this is about to avoid the conflicts between the employees. Okay, this X person known to me, so I will amend, I will relax some rules and regulations for him. This should not be done by any employer. Okay, these are the key objectives of this act. First one, again I'm repeating, for the uniformity of the employees. First objective is to reinforce the uniformity of the employees in the industrial establishments. Second one is the conditions of the employment should be communicated to the employee. And third one is prior to appointment, these working conditions to be provided to the employee as a written document. And fourth one is to avoid the industrial conflicts and to maintain the industrial peace, the rules to be implicated to the employees in a equal way. Of course, first and fourth one, mostly it sounds same but a little different here. Okay. Understood till then, ma? Was it clear? Of course, it's I didn't furnish these details in PPT.
Yes, yes.
Till then, clear?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. And next, so the objective of this act is to have uniform standing orders in respect of matters enumerated in the schedule to the act. So this act extends to the whole of the India. Whole of India, it is very common, and majority of the central government related industrial establishments compulsory they have to follow this. And what is the minimum employees that industrial establishment must have? What is the minimum number of employees? What is the minimum number of employees must be with the industrial establishment?
100 members, ma'am.
50, ma'am.
It's 100 actually. That 50 is only for those industries which was exempted by central government. Those are very few. Okay. So that act, according to Act, 100 is the minimum number of employees to be produced, to be employed in the industrial organizations. Okay. So next, so we have some definitions here. Appropriate government. So let me avoid this terminology and this is very huge law. Okay. That we have been talking about some certifying officer, right? Someone has to certify the rules, conditions of work, working conditions of that industrial establishments. So now we are going to talk about that certifying officer. So certifying officer means a labor commissioner or regional labor commissioner. So obviously these are government appointed people. These are the persons eligible to certify the standing orders. These people are called as certifying officers, labor commissioner or regional labor commissioner, and includes any other officer appointed by appropriate government. Okay. So any other so official gazetted officers. So government blindly they don't appoint any one official gazetted officer. They will bring a notification to appoint the certifying officers apart from these two. If they want to appoint some other officers as certifying officers apart from labor commissioner or regional labor commissioner, they will first give a notification like these are the certifying officers only as of official gazette. Okay, so to perform all or any other the functions, any other of the functions as certifying officer. Okay, ma, who are the certifying officers here? Labor commissioner
And regional labor commissioner.
Regional labor commissioner. Third case is a person appointed by appropriate government with a notification. Okay, that is the third case. First one is labor commissioner, second one is regional labor commissioner, third case is an official gazette whom government appointed with an official notification. Okay, those people only has right to certify the standing orders. Okay, so appropriate government is nothing but so respective that means industrial establishments under the control of the central government, or if it is about the railways that will be under control of the railway administration. Right. So why we are specifying the appropriate government means every time that this won't go for straight away to government. There should be a person to notify it. If the standing orders are relating to railways, that will go to railway administration. There these are called as appropriate government. Okay, railways are to be called as appropriate government. Okay, so if it is about some mines, so mines related regional labor commission maybe appoint some person. Okay, then that mines department will be called as appropriate government. So if the notification is related to some ports, we have Krishnapatnam port and Vizag near, we have some ports. So those people will advertisement, port related one authorities will advertise the notification, release from will be the government. There the appropriate government will be mines and ports. Okay, understood the terminology of the appropriate government one. Whenever the standing orders to be approved by the particular industrial establishment, that related people will be called as appropriate government. Clear? Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Definitely I need feedback. Otherwise, I may not know whether you understand. This is about laws, right? Definitely. I want you to understand. Okay? Clear? So next, it's about employer. We all know we are extensively using this term. Who is employer here? If it is about standing orders related to railways, who is employer here?
Railways is the
Railways administration will be
yes.
employer. If it is about ports, port related government will be employer. Like mines or central government operations. Central government or state government. State government is also employer, right? Some people will work
Yes.
under state government. Their employer will be state government.
Ma'am,
If
I have a doubt, ma'am. Can I?
yes, yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, as you said, we need to get the certifications from the government, ma'am. Is
Yes.
that the central government takes the active role, or is that the state government takes?
Yes, ma'am. That's what I am telling. Appropriate, that we use the term of appropriate government, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So here appropriate government means the related administration, that as I said before, if it is about the working conditions related to state government employees, here appropriate government is state government. If the working conditions related to mines related administration will be appropriate government.
Okay.
If it is the working conditions or standing orders related to railways, railways administration will be the appropriate government here. Understood? Clear?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, these appropriate government are appointed on behalf of someone, ma'am, or they become the direct authority, ma'am.
So they will have it. When it comes to railway administration, general manager GM is the topmost administration here. Of course, we have railway minister also. Influence will be there, but the primary decision maker will be GM, general manager of railways. Likewise, we have ports and administration. Ports administration also GM, general manager is the category. So these people are the primary administrators. Hope I answered your question.
Yes, ma'am.
Clear, ma?
Yes, ma'am.
Clear,
Clear.
Tessa? Okay. Then we are talking about employer, right? So employer means the owner of an establishment. Owner is nothing but they need not invest anything. That they must have a position to rule that organization. Okay. And we discussed about everything now. So let us see what are the standing orders. Standing orders already we discussed about. So how to submit? So certification has to be happen, right? So certification of draft. How the draft of standing orders will be certified? There would be a procedure, right? So the procedure that I am later I will incorporate all these in PPT. On Hari I did all these things. Just I kept the summary of the act. Later I will incorporate and I will forward the PPT to you. Okay? Don't worry. So just I will discuss the class. So what is the procedure of the certification of certification of the standing orders? So first let us see the submission of draft of standing orders by employers to the certificate. That means submission of this. So according to section 3, which provides that within 6 months from the date on which this act becomes applicable. For example, this industrial establishment is there. So whenever that industrial establishment are taking the act to be implemented in the industrial establishment. So the employer of that establishment shall submit to the certifying officer 5 copies of the draft. Okay. So first, establishment of the industry and adoptability of the, obviously the act will be implemented to the act. So after this procedure, the employer has to make the draft of standing orders and he has to make 5 copies of the draft and he has to submit to the certifying officer. That means they may be labor commissioner or regional labor commissioner, right? Okay, so such draft of standing orders shall be in conformity with the model standing orders, if any. For example, earlier GM might have submitted new one. Now new GM has come online, he has amended something and he is again submitting that. So in this case, they will compare these two, existing one and earlier one. The model standing orders, if any, is there and shall contain every matter set out in the schedule which may be applicable to the industrial establishment. If there may be any change, then he will see where is the change has occurred and why the change has occurred. The responsible authority is the answerable person to this. Okay, so the draft of standing orders shall be accompanied by the statement containing prescribed particulars of the workmen employed in the industrial establishment, including the name of the trade union, if any, related to that. Railways have a trade union, obviously Mazdoor. We have AITUC aligned with the railways. Likewise, many industrial establishments, definitely they are aligned with the trade unions. So here the draft of standing orders, they have to have the particulars of the trade union too. That means the employees. Trade union is nothing but employees and their representatives, right? So these standing orders must be authorized by whom? Trade unions. That's what they implemented this case. The draft of standing orders shall be accompanied by the statement containing by prescribed particulars of the workmen. Workmen in sense trade unions. They have to agree with the standing orders. So if the industrial establishment are similar in nature, a group of employers owning those industrial establishments may submit the joint draft. When in the case of double employees, 2 employers, mines and oils, if they are working together, these two can make single standing orders and they can submit the draft at a time. Okay, so this is actual the submission, how we can submit the standing orders to the employer. Okay, am I audible, ma? You are suffocating. I switched on the fan. Am I audible and clear now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, excuse me because I could not sit without fan here. So did you understood what I said? The procedure of submission of the draft. Now we are talking about the draft only. Okay. So submission of draft of standing orders. First, what has to be done? After making the draft of standing orders, they have to make it 5 copies and they have to submit to the certifying officer. And second case is if there is any model standing orders priorly, and that has to be compared in the presence of certifying officer only. Third case is the standing orders, the draft of the standing orders must be accompanied with a statement approved by trade unions. And fourth one, if there is any combined standing orders by 2 different employments. So two different employers, two different industrial establishment, they can combine and they can submit the standing orders at a time, representing that we are going to operate together. These are the 4 points about submission of the draft. Till now, are you clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Then conditions for certification. First submission is over. Then what are the conditions for certification? How they will certify? So this was discussed in the section 4 of this act. So standing orders shall be certified if provision is made therein for every matter stated in schedule of the act which is applicable to industrial establishment. So whatever according to act, whatever the later we will see what is the schedule and all that's there in the PPT. So according to that schedule, all the working conditions, policies, rules and regulations are implemented or not. First they will see that. And the standing orders are otherwise in conformity with the provision of the act. So these two will be observed during the certification. So whether the rules, working condition rules are as per the act, schedule of the act or not, or as per the provisions of the act. Schedule and provisions. Okay. Provisions is nothing but some mandatory things. Okay. So next, certification. If these two conditions were satisfied, understood till then how they will go for the certification?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then we will see how the certification of the standing orders. So procedure to be followed by the certified officer. So everything is okay, the draft and everything that is okay. So according to section 5, the lay down procedure followed by the certifying officer. So certifying officer has to check all these aspects, the amendments made in the standing orders and the trade unions approval and all. They has to go to the place and they have to inquire about all these, whether the employees are aware of these or not, how far the communication between the employees association and the employer. Then he can certify the standing orders. Okay. So this is how the procedure will take place. So let us see what is the schedule that we are talking about. Schedule here, right? So what is the schedule here? So matters to be provided in the standing orders under this act. That's already provided in PPT. Uh, Classification of workmen. Classification of first one is classifying about the temporary workers, permanent workers, probation period, maybe 1 year, 3 years, who comes under probation, who are here for apprenticeship. So likewise, the classification of workers to be done, and manner of intimating of workman period. Like intimating of workman period means hours of work, it will determine holidays, pay days. Every Sunday is a paid holiday, right? And the wage rate prescribed to workmen. How far these aspects were familiar to the workmen. And shift workings. So what is the maximum hours that we allow people to work? Maximum hours of work.
9
9 hours.
It's 8 or 9. Without break I'm talking. I'm not talking about any breaks.
8 hours, ma'am.
8 hours a day. 8 hours a day. It's
Including
not
the
9.
breaks, 9.
Yes, ma'am?
Ma'am, including the breaks, it can be 9, no, ma'am?
Yeah, including the breaks, but we have to consider 8 hours of the work, right? Breaks may be different. Some companies may leave for 1 hour and some companies may leave for 1.5 hours, 15 hours that we have, like 1.5 hour break that we have, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Morning 15 minutes, afternoon 1 hour, and again 15 minutes is there. So that will vary. So apart from that we have to calculate 8 hours of work. That is the maximum work hours. So shift working, when we are calculating about shifts, again night shift has some provisions. So that has to be determined. And attendance and late coming. Attendance is compulsory, of course, 8 hours of the work and all. Late coming is that is a provision to the employee, because we could not assure every day he will come at time. So many troubles will be there, journeys, likewise. So how many late comings will be observed? That's also has to be a rule in the standing order. Some companies will give too late coming. Some companies will give will count for maximum, not maximum of the half an hour in a month. Likewise, according to the policies, they will mark the late comings. Okay. So next is conditions of procedure in applying for. That's what are the conditions of procedure in applying for. That's like they have to have some rules and regulations how they can apply for the leave, what is the procedure to apply for the leave, whom to contact to get leave, and how, on what basis the authority can grant the leaves, what are the considerable holidays that companies will have. Common holidays, either it may be religious holidays, it may be national holidays, public holidays and all. And some companies, private companies, majorities, they will separate the holidays. If it is about Vinayak Chaturthi, only they will leave Hindus to go on holiday, and remaining religions has to work with the company. So that's according to the company, they will implement the holidays and they will grant the leaves, right? So that has to be detailed explanation has to be provided in the schedule. Okay. So what are the conditions to get leave? What is the procedure to apply leave? And what cases that the authority will give the leave? So that's about the fifth point. And next, requirement to enter premises by certain gates and liability to search. So what is the gate allowed to enter? All the gates should not be opened. When the company premises may have multiple gates, certain gates in sense, so after this time you are not permitted to allow them. And the liability to search, and you are not allowed to leave the premises outside during the working hours. If you are leaving that, what case that you have to submit, either you are going on leave or you are going on permission, or with the just permission, that oral permission, which should not be documented, which could be allowed on friendly manners, right? Somewhere it will happen. So this has to be determined in a clear way in the schedule. And next, closing and reopening of sections of industrial establishments, and temporary stoppage of work, and the rights and liabilities of employer and workmen arising there. Okay, so this you might have understood. Closing, how many days that you are stopping the operations of the industrial establishment. Reasons may be varying. Okay, and when you are reopening it, and the temporary stoppage, if there is no raw material, there is no operation, temporarily we are stopped. Of course, we can consider this situation pandemic, which is unpredictable. So temporarily we stopped some services. We stopped metros. Today onwards they are going to operate, right? We stopped metros. Railways still not yet operating. Bus services, APSRTC government owned one, and many of the mining companies not yet operating. So likewise, why the temporary stoppage was happened? Both employer and workman has to be aware of this rights and liabilities. Okay, the rights whichever you have, whichever you can raise as an employee and as an employer. Okay, so this,
Ma'am, uh,
yes, ma'am.
if there is any closing of the industrial establishments, are the employees liable to get their wages or salaries, ma'am?
Yeah, it's again, that's what they have to make the policy with regard to that. See, we see the state government during the pandemic, first they announced even for government employees also. So during this pandemic, you are allowed to get 50% of the wages.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
that remaining 50% will be released later. Later, they increased it to 75%. Right? So
Yes, ma'am.
previously we don't have these norms with the state government, but we have a clause here, uh, act of God and act of man, that we have clause, right?
Yes,
So
yes, ma'am.
disaster management will comes online.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
all the companies may not implement every time, they may not be documented this in the act, but when it
Yes.
comes to act of God and act of man also, this pandemic condition is considered as act of man.
Considered as ma'am.
Yes, pandemic period. So
Yes,
this
ma'am.
time the governments or the administrations are allowed to take immediate decisions, but which should not be very harm to the citizens or employees. That means they didn't say we don't pay. We allow you to take 50%, whatever may be commitment. Right? Even government also not getting any taxes, that was stopped. Right? So waived, that's implicated, that was a continuous process which was continuously bearing the others, right? So in this case, that's according to the company, according to the administration, they can offer the wages. Okay? Clear, ma?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So closing and reopening. This is about the operation. That point states about the operations of the industrial establishment. So next, eighth point, termination of employment. So termination of the employment and the notice therefore to be given by the employer. So termination, when it will happen usually? When usually termination will happen? The
Ma'am,
cases I'm asking.
when they won't follow the conditions uh, implied by the
Disciplinary,
employer.
we will convey it as a disciplinary actions.
Yes, ma'am.
Disciplinary action.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
disciplinary actions. Then so termination of the employee is definitely he won't get any kind of the employments, right? Termination comes for grievance, disciplinary actions. So and the notice therefore to be given. So the employer, that we have a process of collective bargaining and we have a process of grievance handling. Actually, we have these terms, grievance handling and collective bargaining process. If the employee is registered under a trade union, there is a process. So of course, the standing orders has to determine the process. Usually, that representative of the trade union will be called first, and he will be reported about that disciplinary action of that particular employee, and that trade union will decide. So here, employer and trade union will sit together and discuss about the disciplinary actions. What is the remedial solution? If he will be warned or he will be punished, if there is such case, he will be informed and the employer will see about the behavior of the employee. Even though after the punishment, even though after the warning, he is not following the rules and regulations, again he made the rules and regulations, again it comes under disciplinary action. So this time the employer has right to go for the termination, right? So this way in the industrial establishment, the the standard order has to be conveyed. What is the procedure of the termination of employment? Immediately you are not allowed to terminate an employee, and there must be a notice period for that, unless it is a biggest hazard and harm to the company and the people, right? Regarding this, in the schedule, the company has to have a rule in the standing order on what basis they will terminate the employee, what is the notice period of that one, what is the procedure to terminate the employee, whether he will get the benefits, whether he will be paid the wages for his work or not, Likewise, we will have some rules and regulations. The standing orders must contain these rules and regulations. Okay, clear about this point? And next one, suspensions or dismissals. So suspends, and this is also for the disciplinary actions, misconduct and misusing the authorities, misconduct of this, conflict of interest. So these are the cases mostly leads to suspensions. So if we take the railways, of course suspensions may be applicable. So whenever there is a train accident, mostly they will inquire about the root cause for that accident. Whoever or the not worked properly. That means when two trains was met with an accident, who is the cause for that? Whoever operated in the previous station and the next station, right? These two people will be inquired, and really they didn't brought this note, this uniformity of the track to the driver, they will be dismissed. So suspensions and dismissals may happen during the work also if not followed the rules, if not informed, if anything accident or something happened to the people, maybe to the customers or to the property of the company, this suspensions and dismissals will be handled. So the standing orders must have a procedure for this dismissals and suspensions also. Okay. Now we are only talking about what the standing orders must contains of. Okay, ma? Clear now? Till then, do you have any doubts?
Yes.
Clear till then?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So next, means of redressal, that grievance redressal for workmen against unfair treatment or wrongful extractions by the employer. So here we said the grievance procedure, that companies will have grievance procedures. There is a process in HRM. If you do remember, we have a process of grievance redressals and all. So if even though we have grievance procedure and all, sometimes actively employers may involve to raise an issue against a trade union or workmen. So in this case, who is the third party who can involve in the process of the grievance redressal, who are allowed to address that third party activations, who can come and discuss about that, what are the rights of the workmen, whether they can bring this case to the industrial court or not. Likewise, they have to determine some rules and regulations towards this redressal, grievance redressal, if not met with the satisfaction of the workmen. And again, the interest of the employer, intentionally if they want to oppose the workmen, what is the case? Okay, ma? And next, under this, we have 10A and 10B. Additional matters to be provided in standing orders in coal mines. This is particular to coal mines. Coal mines means it is underground. They are working underground, and so many accidents will happen while they're digging of the coal. So for that particular coal mines, this 10A and 10B was given. 10A discussed about the coal mines orders. Specifically, they must include about this. Must. That is compulsory, they have to mention. There should not be a waiving it. So medical aid in case of accident. Medical, having first aid kits and all, okay. So the premises nearby, they must have a doctor and facilities immediately. They must have it. We'll see the Singareni coal mines, how they are operating and all. That will be an exercise for you next. Okay. And railway travel facilities. Some facilities to the coal mines as they are exporting the coals and all through railways. Okay, method of filling vacancies. For coal mines, the method of filling vacancies are a little different. And transfers to the employees. Liability of manager of the establishment or mine. So what are the major responsibilities of manager? Service certificate. How to give the service certificate, and exhibition and supply of standing orders. Wherever they have to stick some rules and regulations, what can be done, what cannot be done. And supplying individually, of course, even though if they supply the communication documentation, the employee may not have it on hand, right? So somewhere they have to give the safety orders and the do's and don'ts of that particular area. Somewhere that board will communicate them, this should not be done. So this proper actions has to be taken in the board. Next, 10B, that additional matters to be provided in standing orders relating to all industrial establishments, that everything whichever it is central government, state government, mines, ports, coal mines, or railways, whichever it may be, these are the mandatory things which has to be prescribed. We can feel it whenever we are reading that. Service record matters relating to service record. Since from the date of joining, they will have a service record. And token tickets, certification of services if they attained anything that's they have certifications and they participated in any kind of the activities which is not their cup of tea. So these kind of certifications they will have. Change of residential address. They are provided a quotas and they don't want to be there because of some their own personal issues, and if they are changing to some other address, residential address of the workers, and record of the age, they have to show the record age proof during the employment and joining in the and employment confirmation from these date, this time onwards they have joined, in this age they have joined, this is the designation, this is the payment, in such a way all the details has to incorporate in the confirmation. And during the joining itself, the age of retirement. What is the age of retirement now? For central government people?
65.
58
Why?
or
60.
60.
65, ma'am.
65 it is.
No, ma'am,
Oh,
60.
ma'am, 60, 60.
60.
58 or 60. I think earlier it was
Ma'am,
58, now
the
it has
Telangana government recently they have increased the retirement age.
Yes. Not only Telangana, some state governments increased already.
Okay.
The state government, it was earlier 58.
58
Even
now.
AP also increased. Now it is 60. They made equal to
60.
60 as per central government, right? So likewise, the retirement age also has to be prescribed, okay? And transfers, where they will be transferred. For some establishments, the transfers are fixed. For every 3 years, they will give the transfer. For some railways and all for 5 years, or on request, on promotions, they will provide transfers, right? And next one, medical aid in case of accidents. Of course, that's mandatory in every industrial establishment and everywhere, right? And medical examinations for the workmen or employees, periodically. If you see railways, they have hospitals, and all the hospitalized expenses will be covered by government. Now, of course, now they are exempting all those. Earlier, it was there. Okay, and secrecy. Secrecy in sense, what is secrecy now? Which case it will be applicable? The departments which we did discuss about till now, army, defense, many of the defense people, they have to maintain some secrecy of their details, right? So for that case of the industrial establishment, that case of the sectors, they must maintain secrecy. And exclusive services, service like canteens, transportations, such a way, exclusive services, any other matter which may be prescribed, that according to the department that may change. Okay. So these are the mandatory things they have to incorporate for the industrial establishments. And earlier one is so all the schedule of the standing orders must have this. These are the components that they must discuss in their